The jungle. Mysterious, dangerous. Home to half of all life on Earth. For centuries, scientists have tried to understand this place, and yet, they still know next to nothing about it. But all that's about to change. A new breed of explorer is on the trail of the jungle's most deeply held secrets. Tonight's show follows these 21st century pioneers. They come equipped with an arsenal of high-tech tools that can reveal the jungle as it's never been seen before.
This.
This is the next generation of jungle exploration.
Never thought I'd live to see that.
This is deep jungle. The mission to understand the jungle is only just beginning. The rainforest is the most complex place on Earth. But in Borneo, one man believes he has the technology to unravel the chaos of life that is the jungle. Roman Dial's day at the office is like no other. His destination is at the top of the tallest jungle trees in the world.
Unlike most of the other canopy scientists who seem to be studying the canopy one tree at a time, I'm more interested in the whole forest.
Other researchers need to climb down between each tree, but thanks to a crossbow, Roman doesn't have to.
Oh, I got it! I can't believe it! I snagged it. So now I'm just gonna get this fishing line and reel in the orange cord, and then we'll be able to set up the rope and get to the next tree.
This clever technique means he can move from tree to tree, staying up for days at a time. His extreme methods are set to transform our understanding of the jungle world. Roman is realizing a dream: to become a canopy creature. Compared with most creatures here, his ability to get around is still pretty limited. But there are some distant relatives who seem to encourage his modest achievements.
These orangutans have been, wow, look at that, a gift. Thank you. Oh, now you want something in return? It's one of the best places to see orangutans moving through the forest up close.
The subject of Roman's study is not the wildlife, but the trees themselves. He believes they are the key to a better understanding of how the jungle works. Step 1 is to make a map of this new world. But his map is like no other on Earth. A laser beam and GPS linked to a computer measures the volume of the jungle's trees and plots the spaces between them. The technique turns complex vegetation into simple blocks. The result of all this? The first ever 3D jungle map. This incredible map can help us interpret the structure of the jungle and compare the shapes and volumes of different forests. Roman's data does not only provide a new way of seeing the jungle, it will also provide an insight into evolution itself. This computer realization can take us on a virtual tour through the Canopy. But there are those who are starting to do it for real. For Nalini Nadkarni, this is a jungle first. It's her maiden voyage on a new kind of jungle craft. She's probably the world's most experienced canopy scientist, but she's never seen it like this before. She's boldly going where no one has gone before.
You can see canyons and valleys in this forest. Suddenly you realize it's completely three-dimensional.
Research by people like Roman and Narlini has revealed that 10 times more species live here than we once thought inhabited the entire planet. 30 million species of animal may live in the canopy world. A single tree can hold more species of ant than are found in the whole of the UK. Rainforest wraps around just 6% of the Earth's landmass, and yet it contains more than half of all living things. It's a green frontier that awaits the new jungle explorers. Jungle exploration is the ultimate adventure. But it's easy to get carried away by the latest technology. We know next to nothing about the creatures that are hidden behind this mass of leaves. Most of the jungle still remains a dark and mysterious place. Tracking down even a large animal here can be like searching for a needle in a green haystack. However, some of the jungle's animals are so elusive and so exciting that they stand out like a holy grail. And people will go to the ends of the earth to find them. On the island of Sumatra, there's a giant predator whose behavior has never been observed in the wild. It's the Sumatran tiger. This brief, blurry shot is the only moving image of one ever recorded in the wild. Only the jungle could hide a big cat for so long. These two men believe they have the technology and the forest know-how to film the tiger once and for all. Jeremy Holden has been studying the tigers here for over 10 years. But in all that time, he has never had more than a brief glimpse of one. He's guiding wildlife cameraman Gavin Thurston deep into the forest. Gavin brings with him remote infrared cameras that may help him succeed where others have failed. Tigers once roamed throughout Sumatra. Now, an inaccessible corner of Kerinci Seblat National Park is one of their last strongholds. Protected by a thick barrier of plant and insect life, this is one of the remotest locations on the planet. Today, only about 500 Sumatran tigers survive in the wild. To find and film just one of them will be a huge publicity coup for the conservation of this endangered animal. But Gavin is under no illusion as to the difficulty of the task.
Quite probably it's the biggest challenge of my career. I mean, nobody has ever successfully filmed tigers in the wild here. So it could actually be the highlight of my career if I get a shot, or alternatively, I suppose it could be the end of my career if I don't. And joking apart, you do feel blooming nervous out here. I don't think I'll be going anywhere much on my own. I'll always be hanging on to Uncle Jeremy.
Just getting to the tiger's habitat will be half the battle. Day one involves crossing the same river 7 times. The only animals Gavin has come close to so far are several hundred leeches.
Have I? Oh yeah, there's one there. These... Did you put that there? This is a leech, and he's got about 10 million friends. And every time you walk down the path, they latch straight onto your trousers or boots, and then find a way to get to your skin. They're quite sweet, really, aren't they?
Base camp is 2 days' walk from the nearest track. When you're this far from civilization, talk turns to what dangers may lurk outside.
The main dangers here are certainly elephant.
Really?
Yeah, if you meet elephant, if you see a tiger, it's going to run away. If you see an elephant, it's going to chase you. I've only met them once in the forest.
Yeah.
And we had to literally run for our lives.
Yeah, what about snakes? Things like king cobra, because that's quite a aggressive snake,
yeah,
isn't it?
There's king cobra, there's red-headed crate, there's Sumatran spitting cobra.
Oh.
So all the deadly snakes are here. I've seen all of them here as well.
Perfect.
Trodden on almost most of them. With a king cobra, 6 meters long, if you get bitten by it, you'd have to write a note to your wife and kids, and that would be it. There's no way we could get you out in time.
Great. So, on that note, good night then. No.
It's not just large and venomous animals that can disturb your sleep here. In the jungles of Asia, there are unique parasitic moths, like something out of a horror story.
This is not what you want to read before you go to bed, is it? Moths drinking tears from the eye of the author, who photographed himself. Attack occurred in the night. The moth's proboscis sucks from the outer part of the lid where there is an overflow of tears due to irritation. That's a great thought when you're just about to go to sleep, isn't it?
Like so many jungle explorers before him, Gavin is willing to suffer just about anything to achieve his jungle dream. Somewhere out there stalks the elusive tiger. Gavin isn't the only pioneer trying for a jungle first. Off the east coast of Africa, on the island of Madagascar, one man is hunting for another infamous rainforest creature. Phil de Vries is searching for an animal that is legendary in the annals of jungle exploration. This is certainly a good place to look for extraordinary creations. 90% of creatures here are found nowhere else in the world.
What do you think of that? Huh? You like that? You got it. I've always wanted to do that.
Chameleons are not what Phil is looking for. He specialises in bugs. And here lives an extraordinary giant moth, so bizarre that at first no one even believed it could exist. If Phil is to have a hope of seeing the moth, first he must find a very special flower. In Madagascar, Phil is following in the footsteps of the first jungle explorers.
Somewhere. I'll find you.
He has spent most of his life in this kind of rainforest adventure. But the story of this quest goes back 150 years. It all began back in 1862 in this small office in the south of England. It was here that Charles Darwin first examined an unusual flower that had everyone baffled. An orchid from Madagascar that seemed to defy the laws of nature. This flower hid its nectar at the bottom of a long, narrow tube. It seemed inconceivable that any insect could ever reach it, but Darwin famously predicted that somewhere in Madagascar there must be a gigantic moth with a tongue 12 inches long. Darwin's peers ridiculed him for his prediction, but 150 years later, Phil has rediscovered the famous comet orchid high in a tree. And now, he hopes to show that Darwin was right after all.
This is what Darwin was all excited about. Look at the size of that nectarine. The moth has to have a proboscis that long to insert into there, the beginning of the flower, the opening, down this tremendously long nectar spur, just to get the reward, which is right at the bottom of that.
The question is, will the strange flower act as bait to attract the world's most remarkable moth? Up in the tree, he rigs an infrared camera. If the moth appears, it will be in the dead of night. But Phil's camera can film in total darkness using infrared light, invisible to the moth. There are no guarantees. Only 10% of Madagascar's original rainforest remains. This jungle is so disturbed that from one year to the next, no one can be sure that the moth still exists. The flower acts like a beacon, releasing a trail of scent through the forest. Hawk moths can pick up smells from long distances, but even so, it's a small flower, and it's a jungle out there. When all is ready, the infrared light is turned on. The flower in the tree and Phil in the ground are bathed in a light visible only to our cameras. Now all he has to do is wait. And wait. It's going to be a long night. In Sumatra, Gavin and Jeremy don't have the luxury of a flower to bait their quarry. Somehow they have to predict where the tiger is likely to be.
What I want to do is try and run it down.
No, this is possible for tiger coming along here. No tiger is going to walk through that.
Yeah, it's way too steep.
No tiger is going to walk through that.
The team will set up 6 different motion-sensitive cameras. Each is triggered to record when an animal trips an infrared beam.
Okay, that's it. Should be out there. That's it, yeah.
The placement of the cameras is critical. They are primed to operate for weeks at a time and will record anything that moves, day or night. Each camera has a range of about 10 meters. The trouble is, a single tiger's territory is about half the size of New York City. Little wonder the shy tiger has never been filmed before.
Right, that one's fine.
Gavin's quest is one of the most ambitious projects ever attempted with this kind of technology. But high-tech equipment is increasingly being used by jungle researchers to open new windows on hidden worlds. And some of the most startling results are being gathered in the dead of night. In Panama, scientists are using imaging systems that cut through the darkness to reveal the secret world of the jungle's bats. Here, 72 species divide up the forest into different niches. Each lives in a different way. Each feeds on a different prey. There are bats that eat fruit, bats that drink nectar, others that hunt every kind of insect. But as always, the jungle supports much more. There are killer bats here too. Some are built for fishing. There's another kind that eats frogs. And even one that hunts lizards. Not even the mice are safe from the nocturnal hordes. This is what the jungle is all about. Countless species all sharing the same three-dimensional world in superbly specialised ways. But the spectacle of the jungle isn't just about incredible diversity, it's also about huge numbers. In the Congo, another bat spectacle is about to be revealed, this time by heat-sensitive cameras. Thermal imaging shows animals hidden amongst the jungle's foliage. The warm body of a fruit bat shines out from the cooler vegetation. And these bats are on the move. For the first time, we can witness a nighttime migration of staggering proportions. Literally millions of bats are flowing out of the jungle to feeding grounds in the north of Zambia. At dawn, the full extent of the spectacle is revealed. The greatest gathering of fruit bats anywhere in the world. 8 million bats hang from the branches of just 1 square kilometre of forest. Their collective weight has been known to break the branches of a tree. The phenomenon only lasts a matter of weeks, and then suddenly the bats are gone, disappearing once more into the depths of the forest. Keeping track of a jungle animal as it travels through the forest is an almost impossible task. Even the largest of all of them is famous for its ability to appear for a moment and then melt back into the dense tangle of leaves. The one thing we do know about forest elephants is that there are hundreds of thousands of them in the jungles of Central Africa, but we have very little idea of what they do in the forest or where they go. Most of what little we do know comes from a time when hunters were guided by Bayaka pygmies to gather ivory by the boatload. Today, Bayaka trackers still lead people into the forest, hunting for elephants.
There's a small one, I've already seen it. It's like a young male again. So he's just going to have a look and see if he can see other tracks.
Steve Blake is a biologist from the Wildlife Conservation Society. If he can get near enough, he may finally solve the mystery of where these jungle giants go. Getting close without being charged depends on the hunting experience of a tracker named Mambelumi.
Mambelumi has probably killed between 100 and 200 elephants in his life, I should think. So he's got incredible experience of how they react when they're hurt, how they react when they're aggressive, how they react when they're frightened. And so he's just invaluable, aside from his, tracking skills.
Mambelumi no longer hunts elephants for food, and these men bring tranquilizer darts, not bullets. Darting an elephant has been done before on the savannah, but getting close to elephants in this thick forest is extremely dangerous. Mike Cock, the team vet, knows just how dangerous.
Elephants specialize in not only trying to spike you with their tusks, but they also use their very large body size to press down on you, so they'll use the front of the trunk and the forehead to try and squash you. And I mean, there've been many instances where elephants have basically squashed people so you can hardly find them.
For a moment they get lucky. An adult female enters the small clearing.
These 3 elephants know something's going on. They've sort of spotted us, but now they're not sure quite what's happening. The vet is trying to advance and get into a position to take a shot. We've just frozen because even though we're exposed and in the open, elephants have got very bad eyesight. And as long as you remain still, it's hard for them to see you.
He must fire the dart into her hind flank, but with the animal head on, he can't get a clear shot. This is the most dangerous moment of all. If she catches his scent, she may well charge.
So now we want to give her another half a minute to relax. I think Mike may well still have her in sight. Mike? Resteka. Tokene melembe. Normally we would have expected her to go down by now. We're at 6 minutes and she's still standing. But the great thing is we can see her. She's very calm. And I suspect because she didn't get nervous, her blood isn't really pumping and it's taken her a little while longer to go down. This is fine. She doesn't know what's going on. She's probably drunk. And hopefully she's just going to fall over very soon.
The drugged elephant is down. But now there's a complication. A young male is standing guard. There's no time to lose. The men decide he's small enough to be driven off.
Venez, ça va, ça va, ça va, ça va, ça va, ça va. Wow, ça va. Wow, wow, wow. Toi, tu regardes bien pour les autres animaux, ok? Zilla. Mike, how's she looking? Do we have time? Good. And Bellamy, fais ça.
This is what their expedition is all about. A pioneering project to place tracking collars on the elusive forest elephant. But the WCS team need to work fast. They want to keep the elephant sedated for as short a time as possible. An antidote to the tranquilizer will bring the elephant around. It's time to beat a hasty retreat. The collar acts like a mobile phone attached to a GPS. Twice a day, it will beam the elephant's location via satellite to the World Wide Web. The animal's journey will be plotted on the internet every day for 2 years. The mystery of where the Congo's elephants go is about to be revealed. Back in Madagascar, Phil is still waiting for his jungle first.
I gotta move this leg. It's dying.
And he's starting to doubt if the moth will ever appear. In Sumatra, they've had better luck. They found tiger tracks.
Here we've got a real clear pug here. This is the front foot. What's often the case is when you set these cameras, is the tigers are curious, so they follow exactly the path you've taken the day before to see exactly what you're about. Fantastic. This is a territorial scrape here. You can see beautiful clear print here. She's dug her foot in. Scraped it back.
Yes.
Straight through. She's following exactly the trail we were on yesterday.
Gavin knows Sumatran tigers can be man-eaters.
Not far.
And suddenly,
100 metres?
stalking a deadly predator doesn't seem such a good idea.
Is there any chance she could still be around then?
Maybe. Who knows?
We're all right just walking up on her like that, then we've got no chance of her getting a bit, I don't know, territorial with us? Or...
No. If she hears us coming, she'll be long gone.
Tell you, this could be it.
This could be it.
The motion sensor beam has been broken. But have they captured the tiger on tape?
Whatever's passed has passed at 2:23. So there's about maybe a 10-second delay.
Water's moving.
It's definitely come through here because this is the only track it can possibly take. Shit, it's not on there.
Is that the end then?
That's it. That's 2 minutes. I think what's happened is probably the delay between the animal coming through the sensor and reaching the camera.
Yeah.
It was It's too long.
The tiger has outfoxed them.
Damn.
The technology has let them down. Phil is becoming equally disillusioned. But 8 hours into his stakeout, 142 years, 7 months, and 5 days after Darwin's prediction, all his efforts are about to pay off.
Oh, there it is. It's hovering in front of the orchid. There it is. Look at the tongue's coming out, man. Amazing. Look at that. There it goes. It's trying to find the opening. There it goes. It's in. It's drinking. Unbelievable. But we did not get it pulling the pollinaria, and I didn't. So if
Where
you
did it
if you
come in?
can't, it came in right here,
Was
and it
its
hovered.
tongue unfurled or it
Yeah,
unfurled?
there's tons of that,
It unfurled it.
and it pushed itself down in, and then once it did that, I'll bet you anything is that once the visidium, the sticky bit of this pollinia, there it is, there it is, going, unbelievable. There it goes. The moth is back. Look at that.
Darwin dared to predict such a bizarre creation could evolve in the jungle,
Never thought I'd live to see that.
and it required a combination of modern technology and a lot of old-fashioned patience to finally reveal the creature in action. So what is it about the jungle that drives such extreme evolution? The structure of the place traps a constant layer of heat and moisture. Nutrients and energy are trapped into a cycle that fuels a creation explosion. And a variety of life that is found nowhere else. One of the most dramatic demonstrations of this diversity can be found in the jungle's bird life. The forest is so full of fruit that male birds are free to concentrate all their efforts on wooing their females. These displays take many forms, but when it comes to the courtship dance, there is a small orange bird in New Guinea that is the top of its tree. The kingbird of paradise does just about everything possible to impress a mate. In Central America, Kim Bostwick believes she has discovered a contender for the kingbird's crown. It's the red-capped manakin. Most jungle researchers can't get near their subjects, but Kim's birds are positively jumping to be noticed.
They don't mind me being here, and they kind of show off. That's actually what their whole life is about, is showing off what they can do so that the females can be impressed and also mate with them. Right there, we just heard a male doing a little bit of a courtship display.
The displays of these mannequins are so fast that there's no way the human eye can see what they're doing. But with high-speed imaging, the secret of their dance can finally be cracked.
This little baby was the breakthrough for my research. It's a high-speed video camera that enables me to record at 500 frames a second. Your average camera goes at 30 frames a second, which means you're missing 90% of what's happening. So with this camera, I'm able to capture these behaviors and play them back in slow motion and just look and see what they're doing.
The big mystery is, how do these birds make their peculiar high-pitched calls? The images from the high-speed camera show clearly that the sounds come not from the bird's mouth, but from its wingtips. At 80 hits a second, this is quicker than the speed of a hummingbird's wing. And there's more. The dance of the mannequin has another surprise in store. Kim's knowledge of the bird's ritual is now so intimate, she knows every move.
So, first thing you do is you're sitting on your perch and click, you fly away. Once you're out there, you come swooping in, do a loop-de-loo in the air, land on the perch, and at the end of that, what the males do is they lean over, lift up their tail, quiver the tail slightly, and nail their feathers against their sides. And now you're going to do a moonwalk, and this is the only known case of birds moonwalking to my knowledge. But they basically do these little steps backwards, and it looks like a Michael Jackson slide. It's very nice.
If Michael Jackson's moonwalk can be found in the jungles of Central America, who knows what we might find next? With the right technology, more and more of the jungle's secrets are being revealed, and today's jungle explorers are starting to produce real results. The tagged elephant has travelled over 60 kilometres in just a few days. A pattern of their jungle behaviour begins to emerge. Jungle elephants are travelling further than anyone ever imagined. They're migrating huge distances through the forest and across park and country borders alike. Favourite destinations are fruiting trees that may be imprinted on their memories from youth, and they also converge on unusual clearings in the heart of the forest. It turns out the elephants create these mysterious openings, mining them for minerals. And they gather here in huge numbers. Elephants are forest engineers. They actively shape the jungle, driving paths through the forest and distributing seeds in their dung along corridors that stretch for hundreds of kilometres. One of the most profound discoveries of this study is the extent to which these elephants are changing the structure of the jungle. If the animals can shape the jungle, Roman Dial's research is showing that the opposite is also true. The form and density of the jungle can also change the shape of the animals within. Here in Asia, the Canopy creatures have abilities not seen anywhere else, and Roman's computer map shows why this might be.
The open spaces here are much bigger, almost by an order of magnitude, than they are in the New World tropics. In Borneo, you punch through this layer into this really big open zone up high. So this is really a unique place.
Roman is comparing this forest to other jungles he's mapped. Elsewhere, the trees are tightly packed together. But in Borneo, the structure of the forest is different. Here, the blocks of vegetation are much further apart. There is simply more space between the trees. Roman's measurements reveal how a difference in the spacing can change the environment completely, and that means the animals change too.
Yeah, if you look behind me here, you can see that the forest is really open. This openness of the forest is unique to the rainforest of Borneo in Southeast Asia. And it's this open space that changes things for the animals, that makes gliding perhaps the best way to move through the rainforest. Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is a Draco. It's the famous flying lizard of Borneo. This one's a male. He has a throat fan, but what's much more interesting is his ribs on the side of his body extend out almost as long as his body is to form wings. We're about 100 feet up. Oh my, there he goes. This is the only place in the world you're going to see lizards fly. It's incredible.
Roman's work shows how a change in the structure of the forest can drive the creation of new species. Flying lizards, frogs, squirrels, and even flying snakes. Most evolved here and nowhere else. Scientists think we've only discovered 5% of the animals that live here. It is a new image of abundance and vitality, but it hides a stark truth. Many jungle creatures are threatened with extinction. 2,000 kilometres away, Gavin and Jeremy are on the trail of one of the most vulnerable, the Sumatran tiger.
Followed this tiger's tracks now for about 1.5 kilometres, about 20 minutes, and she's still going. She's headed up this slope. Jeremy tells me that once she's on this path, there's no turn off at all, so she's definitely going to go past the camera trap. So the only thing is, I'm really excited, but I'm just trying not to build my hopes up. After what happened last time with the camera failing, I'm not sure I could bear to see that again. The tracks have gone straight through it. I tell you, if she isn't on that tape, I just don't know what I'm doing. This is it, the moment of truth. What do you reckon? Yes? No? I say I don't normally get excited, but I am quite excited about this.
So this has been knocked. That's not the company we had, is it? It's not looking down the track.
No, it was looking... Yay!
Oh my god. Fleming again.
Fantastic.
Oh my god.
He's going to come right in. This is where we sprayed the piss.
Oh my god.
Right,
No,
here we
you
go,
really
here we go,
don't
here we
realise
go.
how lucky you are to get this. We can watch it
Thank
on the
you.
laptop.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go and check the other trap.
Yes! Oh my god, that's beautiful.
Shit, it's there for ages. There's that bat again.
Yeah, catching. Oh wow.
Oh, two of them.
first ever recorded behaviour of bats catching flies around a tiger.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Makes it even more worthwhile when you get the shot.
Well, it's great to meet you.
Filmed with infrared night vision, the elusive Sumatran tiger emerges from the shadows. It is the first clear record of this animal in its wild jungle habitat. It is hard to believe that a giant predator like this could have remained hidden for so long. But this tiger's home is the most complex place on Earth, and secrets hide easily here. It takes perseverance and dedication to unravel the mysteries of such an inhospitable place. And space-age technology is opening up a whole new frontier here on Earth. Deep in the jungle, modern-day adventurers are taking us to places we've never been before. They're giving us a new vision of the jungle. It's one that can provide insights into evolution itself, the drive that created all life, even us. The greatest jungle on the planet. Impenetrable, mysterious, a tangle of myths and monsters. There are trees that kill, giant birds, and big cats. Even little things are monstrous.
Whoa.
Welcome to the Amazon.
I'd run as fast as I could.
We're on two quests. We're hunting for a legendary creature.
You're saying this? You're saying this? Whoa.
And unraveling the workings of a biological machine. We'll end by unmasking the forest's biggest killer. This is the story of a giant tree and a huge spider said to live in its shadow. The story unfolds in the biggest rainforest on the planet, the Amazon. The plants here pump out 1/5 of the world's oxygen. The Amazon River holds 1/5 of all the world's fresh water. This place is an evolutionary powerhouse, generating literally millions of exotic species. This may be the most important environment on our planet. The giant of the Amazon is this tree, the Brazil nut. At 50 meters, it towers over the jungle. Its famous nut is a global business worth $50 million a year. But at the center of the tree's life is a mystery. If we can solve it, we may understand what drives the entire jungle ecosystem. The mystery is this. Why does this tree only produce its nut-filled pods in virgin rainforest? If you damage the forest, the tree shuts down. This makes the Amazon a very valuable place and keeps loggers at bay. '21st century science is trying to understand the connection between this tree and the forest around it. But it's not only big science coming here to solve major mysteries. Martin Nicholas is an amateur. His day job is selling water treatment systems, but in his spare time, he's a tropical spider expert. He's on a quest to find a brand new species of spider in the Brazil nut trees world.
This is Puerto Maldonado, and it's got a real frontier town feel to it. The town itself is built on golden logging money, and it sits at the confluence between two of the great tributaries of the Amazon River. The Tambopata goes that way, the Madras Diaz goes that way, and basically we're sitting right in the middle of primary rainforest, just with this town sitting in the middle of it.
The Amazon has always been a dangerous place for explorers.
One of the real hazards of working in an environment like this is the diseases that you do find in this area. Our friend Artemio there, he has an appalling wasting condition called leishmaniasis. It causes huge scars. It can affect any part of your body at all. It is treatable in almost every case, although it can be fatal in extreme cases. We're told that he got it somewhere up the Tambopata River, and guess where we're going?
Martin's journey was inspired by a letter from a friend in Peru.
I was talking to a farmer who tells me that he loses many of his chickens that live around his farm and that of his brother. I ask if snakes or dogs are the predator, but he tells me it is the araña polita, chicken spider, I think.
He imagines the scene constantly. This so-called chicken-eating spider is said to have legs as thick as a man's fingers. Martin's convinced he's looking for an unrecorded species of tarantula. There are over 800 known kinds of tarantula, and none of them eat chickens. The idea of a spider that drags chickens round the backyards of Peru may sound absurd, but it's enough to drag an enthusiast like Martin halfway across the globe.
My gut reaction when I first got that letter was immediately, I've got to go out and find it. I've got to go out and have a look. Got to find the monster.
Martin's quest is taking him deep into the Amazon, the largest piece of forest on Earth. 85% of it hasn't been explored yet. There may be tribes of indigenous people here who have no idea that a world exists outside their forest. This is still a lost world. While Martin's quest will take a lot of old-fashioned footwork, understanding how the Brazil nut tree works involves a new kind of high-tech jungle science. This is Barro Colorado Island in Panama, headquarters of the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute. It's a high-tech outdoors laboratory. Scientists here use all the latest gizmos to discover how different animals and plants live their lives.
This is probably within the last half hour to an hour, so it's getting really, really active.
It even looks as if the ocelot's taken a short rest immediately after the agouti line's gone flat.
The experts discovered that the jungle is so complex it can only be understood by looking at it over tens or even hundreds of years. So they started keeping small sections of rainforest under constant surveillance all over the world. Nothing grows, nothing dies without it being recorded. Their data allows us to see years pass in seconds. Huge changes are compressed into mere moments. To understand how a Brazil nut tree works, you need to look at its entire lifespan. This tree's life began 500 years ago as a nut inside a rock-hard pod, just like this. When it drops, it can kill. It's the weight of a cannonball and accelerates to 80 kilometers an hour in just 3 seconds. The pod falling season can be a deadly lottery for the forest's animals. The pod is a conundrum. There's nothing in the Amazon with jaws strong enough to crush it and release the seeds. This is the first problem in unraveling the tree's story. It's led scientists in Peru to create an ingenious experiment. It takes 20 minutes to saw open a pod. A magnet is glued to each tagged nut, and the whole pod's put back together again. These trick pods are then scattered around the forest. They attract the solution to the problem. The pod isn't opened by an animal with huge jaws at all, but a small rodent called the agouti, with teeth like chisels. Amazingly, the Brazil nut tree depends entirely on this one species to release its seeds. The agouti buries the nuts it doesn't eat, a future snack. But they often forget where they've hidden them. The forgotten nuts germinate into tiny trees. By tracking the nuts with a metal detector, the experts found that the agoutis bury them in shade, often near the mother tree. And most kind of seedlings die without strong, direct sunlight. But Brazil nut seedlings have a special ability. In shady places, they can go dormant for decades. The sapling of today's giant tree would have waited for something to change in the environment above. Martin Nicholas is heading into the world of the Brazil nut trees, and he's following the best advice for travellers. Always ask the locals.
Arturo, my guide, knows of this little farm on the banks of the river that sounds exactly like the one mentioned in the letter that I got. So we're here to check it out, see if they know anything about these big black spiders, and do a head count of the chickens as well.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So big.
That's a big spider. That's almost a foot across. Does he think that the big tarantula will be able to catch, so one of the small chickens? It could. You think it could happen? Yeah. Anything's possible. This is exactly the story that we've heard. This is the tale that is now starting to reoccur. The story from the letter, and we're obviously, definitely in the right sort of place.
Martin heads deep into the forest to look for the spider.
Here's a spider. Down here we have a satenid spider, or wandering spider. This one's quite a small one, and it's holding its egg sac in its jaws. Obviously this is the breeding season. A bite from a spider of this sort of size probably wouldn't hurt, if indeed she could actually get her jaws through you in the first place. The trick with most spiders in the world is that they cannot get their jaws wide enough open. It's rather like us trying to bite into a beach ball. We can't get our mouth open wide enough. And it's the same thing with spiders. It's only the biggest spiders and the ones with the most powerful jaws that can actually get their jaws wide enough to penetrate our skin, and their jaws long enough to get through our skin, and then of those, very, very few have venom toxic enough to cause us any problem at all. I don't think this little spider here would be considered dangerous at all.
This forest hasn't always been wild and untamed. Indigenous people once treated it like a kind of garden. They planted Brazil nut trees in groves to make harvesting easier for their descendants. But 500 years ago, when our giant tree was just a dormant sapling, something extraordinary and violent happened here.
It's incredible to think that these gigantic Brazil nut trees 500 years ago were just simply tiny little saplings, but that they were to witness the most vicious and bloodthirsty war that this forest had ever seen, before and probably since.
In 1532, Spanish conquistadors arrived.
They came here for one reason. They came here for gold. Unfortunately, the conquistadors thought that the indigenous people were subhuman. They would torture them to death just for the amusement of it. They deliberately spread diseases. They killed them in their thousands, in their millions, actually.
The indigenous people were forced to fight for their very existence, and in the end, they were devastated. Literally tens of millions died. But ironically, the conquistadors may have breathed a spark of life into our dormant Brazil nut sapling when they brought steel to the forest. For the first time, the Amazon's great trees could be felled in minutes, rapidly creating great holes in the canopy above. An event like this may have finally bathed our Brazil nut seedling in precious sunlight. Every fallen tree leaves a light gap. As we see it, a gap looks unremarkable, but to realise its full importance, we must speed up time. Now the clearing explodes into life. All kinds of plants join a race to keep ahead of each other and avoid being left in the shade. Hungry animals exploit the fresh growth. The Brazil nut sapling awakes. The tree grows into an unmistakable hallmark of the Amazon horizon. Over the centuries, the Brazil nut becomes the centre of a vast web of life, and scientists have come up with some ingenious ways of finding out what's in it. A spray gun fires insecticide up into the canopy. It knocks out insects and they tumble back to earth. But which specific tree did the different insects fall from? It's a tough question. Time for a new idea. A hot air blimp carries a lightweight raft, which scientists ride on. Up here, they can pick out which trees they want to investigate. The raft is dropped right on top. It used to be thought there were about 3 million species of plants and animals on Earth. But work like this made us revise the figure upwards to 20, 30, or even 50 million. A single tree like the Brazil nut can hold thousands of different species. And this life isn't a random jumble. These creatures form a web of relationships. The tree's wilting flowers are not wasted. These are leafcutter ants. A single colony can hold 10 million hungry individuals, so the seasonal shower of petals is a valuable bonus. Where there are ants, there are, of course, ant eaters. The giant anteater has no teeth. It slops up its prey with a tongue over 1/2 metre long. There are other ants here, and they are much more frightening.
Whoa. They say it's not the big things in the forest that get you. It's not the jaguars or the lions or the tigers. It's the little things. at the mosquitoes and the sandflies. And these are two of the biggest small things that get you. They're called bullet ants because the sting is reputed to feel very much like being shot. They're scary looking things, aren't they? I know of a couple of people who've been stung by the bullet ant, and they say the pain is initially rather like having a large cigar extinguished on your skin. Incredible burning sensation. There are some tribes in the Amazon that use bullet ants in their initiation ceremonies for their young men.
The bullet ant's sting is the most painful of any insect. The Satiri Maui knock out 200 to use in a manhood test. They're woven sting inwards into a glove. When they come to, they're very angry. Teenage boys must wear this for 10 minutes while the ants inject their potent nerve toxin. The test is to show no sign of pain. Their arms are paralysed and tremble uncontrollably for days.
I'm not going to put my finger anywhere near these. I'm not being a wuss. It's just I don't want to be out for 24 hours.
Martin's quest has brought him into the territory of the Amazon's big cat, the jaguar. He too will find food in the shadow of the Brazil nut tree. A deer perhaps, or a sloth. It's appropriately named. The sloth had just enough of a head start. It's escaped the jungle's greatest ground predator, but it's climbing towards something even more fearsome. The Brazil nut tree is home to the harpy eagle, the biggest bird of prey on the planet. Some of the Brazil nut's web of life becomes active at night. Martin's looking for the chicken eater. But there are other spiders here that even a spider enthusiast must be wary of.
Okay. Well, it's not every day you see the most deadly spider in the world. That's what we have here. This is a wandering spider. The reason it's so dangerous to us is, first of all, it's extremely toxic. The venom of this spider is around 18 times more deadly than that of the black widow. It has extremely large fangs. It can get through our skin extremely quickly. Thirdly, it's exceptionally aggressive. Just a slight tap on one of its legs immediately provokes a response. These things jump and bite. They don't just bite. Before an antivenom was developed, up to 1,000 people a year were dying of this spider in Brazil alone. It's one of those spiders that you don't want to take your eyes off for very long. Nothing on this earth would make me touch this spider. Just leave him in peace.
In the jungle, the safest place is tucked up in your hammock.
Right, all. Apart from the dawn chorus of monkeys this morning, it's not a bad night's sleep actually. They know I'm talking about them. They're just proving a point now. It's not funny. Show some respect for people sleeping.
Even by day, the Amazon holds unexpected horrors. As a veteran traveller, Martin knows you must keep your most sensitive body parts out of water because of a fish called the kangaroo. It swims towards urine, burrows into the source, and then sticks fast with backward-facing barbs. The only solution is to cut it out with a sharp knife. By day, tarantulas hide in burrows under big trees. If Martin can find a likely hole, then he's all set to unleash some homemade technology.
Ah, now that's more like it. Base of a tree. And there's a big hole down there. It's dry. It's a nice smooth shape. It's away from any water, shielded by the tree itself. Under normal circumstances, we'd have to wait until night. But we've got a way of doing a sneak preview. Tarantula cam. Years in development and literally pounds spent. Tarantula cam involves a little security camera, 5 little LED lights on the top there, and the pièce de résistance, the tricycle, for manoeuvring around tight corners. All systems go.
Is Tarantula Cam about to meet a monster?
Goes back quite a way. Oh my God! There's something looking at me. It's a possum or a mouse. It's checking me out. I'm sorry, mate. Look at that. So no tarantulas, unless they're very, very odd bedfellows then, anyway. I'm chuffed with that. At least the camera works. The camera works a treat. Who knows what will be down the next hole? It's fantastic.
One of the challenges of exploring the rainforest is that it isn't called that for nothing. Giant trees like the Brazil nut generate their own local climate. They release moisture, which forms clouds, and they produce rain. Rain falls here at least 200 days a year.
This could last for minutes, it could last for hours, it could last all day. Just gotta go with it.
Trees soak up half the water, and the rest escapes to feed the great river. There's a direct link between life and rain, because the more it rains, the more diversity of life a forest holds. The Amazon forest creates some of the biggest storms on the planet. Up to 3 meters of rain falls here each year. Sometimes it rains so hard that it floods over 350,000 square kilometers of forest. This flooded world is a strange submarine landscape. The forest floor may be 10 meters underwater, so terrestrial animals become aquatic. While mammals go into the water, the fish try to leave it. The hatchetfish leaps to avoid predators. The arowana leaps for spiders. The flood lasts for 6 months. The Brazil nut tree flourishes on higher ground. But its old empty pods trap their own mini-flood, and this attracts a strange web of life found nowhere else on Earth. A poison dart frog carries a tadpole on its back. It's been scouring the forest for one of these pods. A mosquito has laid its eggs in here already. In the race to grow up, the larvae turn cannibalistic. But they'll never make it out of here. The tadpole is a predator. But the tadpole's not safe either. There's another predator in this cavern, a damselfly larva. It's not a great predator, but then it doesn't need to be. The tadpole's trapped. thousands of species that make up the web of life around a Brazil nut tree, could just one hold the key to the tree's mystery? Why it will only bear fruit in virgin forest? Insect expert David Rubik suspects bees because they pollinate big trees. But they don't always welcome close investigation.
Looking up a massive strangler fig and a massive stingless bee nest. One of the aggressive ones. Right now there are bees raining out of the nest and cascading down here and finding me, and laying into me wherever they get a grip. If you're not a little disciplined, you tend to lose it, and the pain kicks in, the smell, the continual squeaking, and then the sticky resin that they're starting to put on me now. Ouch. I can say that's truly an effective defense, and if I were unprotected, they'd be all over my head primarily, and this would be too much. I'd run as fast as I could. Ouch, look at that. If I try and brush them off, they're stuck on with resin, they're holding on with their mandibles, and they're not breaking the skin, but they're coming close. Time to go.
David climbs 40 meters to the tree's canopy to find the bees that pollinate its flowers. The flowers are out at the end of very thin branches, but bees are strongly attracted by smell, and David's brought a special chemical with him that he hopes will act like a bee magnet.
Bait's out. Bees are on their way. There's nothing to do but wait. They've just shown up now. One big one, one little blue one.
These bees pollinate the tree's flowers, and only then will they produce the giant pods. The bees travel around the forest. David follows them. Maybe the solution to the tree's mystery lies at the other end of their journey. They leave the Brazil nut tree's own patch of forest way behind. Over a kilometre away, David finds the same kind of bees flying around a rare, fragrant orchid.
Great. Some luck. Fallen branch on a tree. That's one of our orchids. The kind the orchid bee would love. Bees are maybe, it's been estimated, 1 million times more sensitive to the kinds of fragrances like orchid flower than we are. They are known to pick these things up and fly from over a kilometre away.
What's going on here? David has discovered that a male bee can't get a mate unless he's wearing a particular scent, and he has to steal that scent from these orchids. So if the forest is cut down and the orchids are destroyed, then the bees won't be able to mate. No reproduction means no new bees, which means the Brazil nut flowers won't be pollinated, which means the pods won't grow. So eventually the lucrative Brazil nut tree itself will vanish. That's why the Brazil nut tree needs intact forest to survive. Webs of life surround every tree across the Amazon. The rainforest is a vast biological machine, and small, fragile relationships hold the whole thing together, like rivets. Understanding the Brazil nut tree has required a time warp. This accelerated view of life can now reveal the Amazon's most sinister secret. The Brazil nut tree lives for 500 years. It's a survivor, almost invulnerable. Yet there is one creature in these forests big enough to kill it. A seed in an animal's dropping germinates on one of its branches. The tiny plant sends out roots, long roots. Finally, they anchor in the ground. Then they grow and begin to wrap around the tree for support. This is the strangler fig. The roots take a suffocating grip on their victim. The living part of a tree's trunk is just under the bark. It's only a few millimeters thick, but it carries all the tree's water and nutrients. The strangler squeezes tight and chokes the tree. It's a death that takes years. Eventually, the dead tree starts to disintegrate, leaving a hollow shell standing in its place. The adult strangler fig tree. Our Amazon journey has one more secret to give up. Does the chicken-eating spider really exist?
We've looked at many burrows without a great deal of success. They've either been empty or they've had various mammals down them. We've come across a very promising burrow just here at the roots of this Brazil nut tree. It's nice and shallow, classic shape, nice and oval shape. So we're going to send tarantula cam down and see what lives down the bottom. There's something up there. There's something up on the right there. Look at that. Look at that. Whoa! It attacked the camera. That looks like a juvenile. That's not an adult spider. Excuse me, mate. Just coming by. There's another one. Holy moly. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? I think Mummy's home as well. I'm very aware about where my hands are just now because, look, whoa! There is a giant black spider hanging onto my camera. In many ways, this ties in very much with what the locals were telling us about. It's big, it's black, it's long, strong, thick-set legs. It's a powerful theraphosid tarantula spider. This is our chicken spider. We found it. She's coming out. see right underneath her fangs there. Whoa! She's got two very large downward-pointing fangs, and tarantulas stab downwards. True spiders' jaws work like pincers. The legs come up into the air, and the jaws come out and they strike downwards like that. And that's how she catches her prey as well. There we go. The spiderlings that we saw at the beginning were well grown on. They were well, it's a little bit difficult to tell, but they were at least 2 or 3 inches across. Now, for spiderlings of that size to still be living with the mother is extraordinary. It doesn't happen. Tarantulas aren't gregarious whatsoever because, of course, more spiders in the same burrow at the same time creates competition for food, creates competition for space, and of course there's an issue when the mother spider is ready to breed again. But there she is, in all her glory.
Martin will return at night, when he hopes the spider will come out of its hole to hunt. He may be able to study it more closely by picking it up.
And there she's got it. Look at the fangs sinking into that grasshopper. I suppose when there isn't a chicken coming by, grasshopper will do. But what I want to do is try and take a good hard look up close. To do that, I'm going to have to catch her. Show you her fangs, just so you get some idea of the size of them. The fangs are huge. Look at that. It's about that long. We found the giant chicken spider. It's something brand new. It doesn't correspond with any of the other species that we know of in this area or any of the adjoining areas. It's surprising in a world where it's so easy to travel around, there are still animals of this sort of size and reputation that still remain unclassified. The great blank spaces in the map are not yet all filled in. The species has not yet been described. This is something brand new.
The jungle is a place of infinite complexity. Science is only beginning to understand it. Here, life is at its most abundant, yet the connections can be desperately fragile. The jungle is a labyrinth, always throwing up new mysteries to unravel, new avenues to explore. Who knows what secrets remain deep in the Amazon? Jungle exploration is getting personal. Scientists stare into the eyes of our closest relatives and stumble on signs of abandoned civilizations.
That's fantastic.
Today's jungle exploration is like Planet of the Apes meets Indiana Jones.
The whole thing is emerging, as it were, out of the jungle. It's fantastic.
The jungle is revealing extraordinary secrets. Some are shocking, some surprising.
I don't think they saw us.
Others are heartwarming. These discoveries can tell us where we came from and what our own future might hold. Scientists are going into the jungle to see what it can tell us about ourselves. Until very recently, we thought human beings were unique. Is the fact that we can so easily tame the jungle proof that we are high above all other animals? Experts are discovering we are more connected than we thought. They've found intelligent monkeys. They've seen culture in primates. They've even witnessed murder. And as for the idea that we can tame the jungle, well, it can tame us too. Scientists believe that asking questions of the jungle and reaching out to its primates might just help us find out who we really are. First challenge, meet your beast. 6 years ago, Italian primatologist Chloe Cipolletta began a mission in the dripping Congo forest of Central Africa. She was determined to make contact with the western lowland gorilla. It was a World Wildlife Fund project to encourage ecotourism and conservation. This is the mountain gorilla of Rwanda. It is well known to scientists. But the lowland gorilla of the Congo is a different species and a much tougher challenge. Although you might catch a rare glimpse of them when they come out into clearings like this, they soon disappear back into the forest. No one knows where they go or what they do. Chloe wanted to find out by earning their trust.
I think the moment of maximum trust is when they come close or stay close to you and just completely fall asleep. You can feel pretty sure that they don't fear you at all and they are perfectly comfortable with your presence there.
Other scientists had tried before and failed. But Chloe had an idea. Not so long ago, white hunters employed local tribespeople to lead them through the jungle to this ferocious beast. Would the descendants of these tribes be prepared to help her? These are the Bayaka people. They have an intimate understanding of the forest and an extraordinary ability to find their way around it. When the Bayaka go hunting, they mean business. Chloe asked to meet two of the Bayaka's finest trackers. This is Mbanda and Ngombo. Although the Bayaka sometimes hunt gorillas, they are generally afraid to get near them. So Chloe's idea of tracking them and then trying to get close must have seemed like madness. But eventually, the Bayaka agreed to help her.
They're very skilled Bayaka trackers. and they're fundamental in finding regularly the gorillas. Yeah, it would be totally impossible to find gorillas without the bayaka.
The plan was to attempt to follow one group of gorillas every day from the tracks and traces they left behind. Nobody but the bayaka could achieve this. At first, all they'd get is the occasional glimpse. If Chloe's mission succeeds, it could open a door for dramatic new discoveries. It happened before, in Tanzania, East Africa. It's where our closest relative lives, the chimpanzee. When chimps let people into their lives, experts made one of the most important breakthroughs in the history of science. They saw chimps rip off branches and shape them. They made fishing rods to catch juicy termites. Other chimps were using rocks to open nuts. The problem was, animals weren't meant to be able to make and use tools. Only we did that. Not anymore. Chimps evolved this skill to get at the forest's richest food. This was a huge blow to ideas of human uniqueness, but it was just the beginning. The orangutan of Borneo was the expert's next target, but there seemed no great intelligence lurking here. Here's an orang's method of opening a termite nest. Yet orphaned orangs showed a clever ability to mimic their human foster parents. Finally, another breakthrough. A stick, a stinging pod, a homemade chopstick. Tool use isn't a human skill, it's a great ape skill. If Chloe's team in the Congo can get close to the gorilla, who knows what they might see? A gorilla was here. A knuckle print.
This is the foot of the silverback. Bayaka are looking for the tracks of the gorillas now. We found the nest and we're looking for today's tracks.
The technical term for what this team is trying to achieve is habituation.
Animals get habituated when they ignore the human presence. When they don't react to human presence, we don't know how much they can ignore it. We are 3 people following them every day, and that cannot totally be ignored.
It's a relentless task.
Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, Independence Day, every day.
When they eventually get close, the last thing they want is to surprise the gorillas. Ngombo recognizes an adult gorilla calling to a youngster. It's a tense moment because gorillas can be dangerous if they're frightened. It's crucial to the process that the gorillas know the people are close by and learn that they're harmless. They deliberately make an unthreatening noise. And the sound of an animal grazing. A silverback. And he didn't run. It's progress. There's a young male too. The Bayaka don't want clumsy Westerners destroying months of hard graft.
They want to leave us here. This is not normally what happens.
Why do they want to leave us here?
Because you make too much noise and you're slow.
The team is determined to carry on this desperately slow process for as long as it takes. While Chloe is trying to get to know her gorillas, on the other side of the world, in Brazil, primates have smashed down another assumption of our uniqueness. This time, it wasn't even a great ape. This place is called Greenwing Valley. And here, scientists stumbled on something that looks like a Stone Age workshop. With tools that are obviously still in use. This lowly black-capped capuchin monkey is the only primate here, and it's frustrated. These pods contain palm nuts, and it's the best food around. The macaws can break them open with their beaks. The monkeys can't. The capuchins pick the pods anyway. It's the start of an amazing process. They tap them to see how ripe they are. This one is in the right stage. A bite to the top, and the capuchin can drink the liquid inside. But they seem to give up on getting the nut out. In fact, they're giving the pods a few days to dry out. One day, experts saw capuchins carry the dry pods to the strange rocks. They placed them carefully and prepared for an Olympian task. Then, they did something no monkey was thought capable of doing. These rocks can weigh as much as a capuchin itself. They've been carried from the river, from over a mile away. If a primitive monkey can come up with such a complex kind of tool use, then it's impossible to guess what other surprises the jungle is going to throw up. There's another surprise here too. It looks like the capuchins aren't born with this skill. The young probably learn it from their parents. This way of passing on skills is yet another body blow to the idea that humans are separate from other creatures, because this is the first step in developing culture. Chimps have taken things much further. Some groups open nuts using stones, but for exactly the same job, another uses wooden clubs. Locally different ways of doing the same thing. This is culture, and a window on the origins of our own complex world. It's possible that the great complexity of human culture had its beginnings in scenes like this, tool-using skills passed from adult to young. Back in the Congo, the tracking continues. When they stop for a rest, Chloe learns about the Bayaka culture.
A petit Fanny.
Sharpened teeth are the equivalent of body piercing or tattoos in our own culture.
Okay, that's how you do it. You put the wood, the stick in the mouth of the person. And you have to hold the head. Donc, soit que zembe. One is the knife, and the other is another piece of metal. It can be another knife. A file. And then you just scalp on one side and the other. Vuoi ti fanno? Tu un petit mot? The reason why they cut their teeth up until today is because it's something that their great-grandfather were doing, and the Bayaka have always done it. And they are Bayaka, and they're always going to do things that the Bayaka have always done.
One Bayaka tradition that Chloe hopes to change is their mistrust of gorillas. If the team can get gorillas used to people, then tourists will come. There will be jobs for local people, and a good reason to conserve the gorillas.
It is in this part of the forest that it's more open, that the traces become more difficult to find, because there are not many leaves on the ground that the gorilla can step and leave a sign. Whereas the Bayaka, they have a knowledge of the forest, of how it should be, where it is not perturbed, where no animal has gone by. And so like when they walk in the forest, they can see when leaves have been turned, or a shrub has been banked. When an animal passes by, the herb will turn and will show this side here. And they can see that an animal has passed by, and they can also detect which direction. So, of course, we could see little things like this too with a lot of experience, but first we wouldn't be able to know to keep up with them. We would spot one and that's it. They can't even explain how they find the gorillas, the animals in the forest. They just know it. They look for them and find them.
For the moment, the gorillas keep running away, and the Bayaka keep following. There are signs that other animals pass this way.
Big elephant tick.
It's a tick from a forest elephant.
Quite full.
Full of blood.
Lomba, ulo qui. Fallo bra. He thinks he's very tired. He thinks the dude is very full. Now he's gonna rest.
Chloe, Ngombo and Mbanda have caught the odd sighting of gorillas, but they're about to see a lot more.
When the vegetation is dense, we don't sneak behind them. We try to always see them, and so that they also can see us. We don't like to get too close in dense vegetation.
Fruit is showering down to the forest floor. Mustached monkeys are clumsy eaters. Red River hogs have come to gorge on the windfall. And so have the gorillas. Perhaps the noise or smell of the pigs is masking the presence of humans. The river hogs are stealing all the fruit. The young male wants to show who's boss. The hogs just ignore him. The silverback is a different matter.
Jimbalimba went barking towards the pigs, but you could see that the pigs weren't very intimidated by the little gorilla. And then Mlima charged a little bit and barked to the pigs too. And then they left. I don't think they saw us.
With the confidence of youth, the young gorilla moves closer to the people. He's intrigued. The silverbacks noticed what's going on. And he doesn't like it. He's made his point, without trying to harm anyone.
I think it was a warning to both us and his son to stop what was happening in that very close interaction. He just had to tell his, how do you say, reprimand us from that.
There's a long way to go before Chloe and the gorillas can sit close by in a spirit of mutual trust. Experts aren't just learning things about our jungle past from other primates. In true Indiana Jones style, archaeologists are heading into the jungle, and they're hunting for signs of humans. Not jungle tribes, but lost civilisations. They believe that unlocking the jungle's secrets may help us discover something about our future.
This part of the facade looks about the same. It hasn't changed.
Rennie Munoz and Charles Golden are archaeologists.
So it doesn't look like there's as much of the...
An old photograph taken somewhere here in Guatemala, Central America, has fallen into their hands.
It's really a tremendous thing to find a building like this, and to find when sort of this area and this isolated and still intact is just a wonderful thing.
They want to track down the building and learn what happened to the people who lived there. For years, civil war kept archaeologists away from this area.
Looks like you have two figures surrounded by a ring of...
This ancient symbol may be telling them something, but what?
Yeah, it does look like there's a throne there or a cushion of some sort.
Ahí más adelante y arriba. Bueno, vámonos.
The jungle is so dense, so wild, it seems impossible that there could have been buildings here, let alone a civilization. Even the plants are inhospitable.
The scopolamine will go right through your hand like a hypodermic needle, puncture the joint and give you a nasty infection, so you definitely don't want to touch this.
You see the soil, Charles?
Is this a doorway here?
I think so. We must be getting close.
This may be dense jungle, but there are signs of ancient people everywhere.
It's fantastic.
It is an amazing thing.
Whoever built this worshipped some kind of god or spirit. It may be more than 1,000 years old. Finally, they find the mysterious building. A reception hall for some kind of noble 1,000 years ago.
This whole area would have been plastered. The floors would have been brilliant white, probably. The outside of the building would have been also plastered, maybe painted red.
Rene's found other evidence.
Within this plaza, there's 6 or 7 other structures similar to this one, and then raised up above the remaining 4 or 5 structures. It would have been very impressive.
These people were way ahead of Europe at the time.
Europe was in the middle of the Dark Ages. The Roman Empire had fallen. There was no really great civilization. People still thought that the sun circled the earth.
This place is one more bit of evidence that hundreds or even thousands of square miles of what is now forest was once cleared to feed a great population. This is a fragment of the Maya civilization. A 100 miles away, Tikal was one of its great cities, home to more than 50,000 people. As the Maya people climbed these steps, the edge of the forest was far out of sight. So where did the people go? Why did the jungle return? How could such a resourceful people allow the jungle to reclaim their civilization and destroy their lives? A vital clue has been found across the globe in another jungle in Southeast Asia. Here in Cambodia, a tantalising legend haunted explorers for years. It was said that a warrior king out on a hunting trip in the forest found something no one knew was there. The ruins of a glorious city. Its existence wasn't proven to Western science until the 1800s. It's the civilization of Angkor. Today, archaeologist Charles Hyam is trying to unravel why this place, like the Mayan great cities, became a ghost town. What huge catastrophe befell the people living here? Is there a warning to us in what they left behind?
Well, this view from on top of the Bakang Hill gives you the best possible image of what Angkor must once have been like, because you can see all the main features of this great complex. Over on the right-hand side there, you can make out the water of the Western Barai, or reservoir, which would once have arrested and controlled the water coming down from the hills behind me. And over there, through the trees, we can just see the 5 sandstone towers of Angkor Wat. What we don't know is what happened to all the people. The answer, I think, lies out there in the jungle, because what we've got to find is where people were living, how many of them were there, and what they were doing.
Charles heads deep into the forest for clues.
Even here, 30 kilometers from the walled city, it's still possible to come across signs that people once lived here. And this is exactly the sort of thing we're looking for, cut sandstone. And then a second and a third, the whole thing is emerging, as it were, out of the jungle. It's fantastic. You can see here a human form, a set of shoulders, a body. Perhaps somewhere buried deep here, there's the head to go with it. Over there, the beginnings of a wall. The more we track through these trackless jungles, the more of these really quite remarkable sites we're beginning to find.
These extraordinary people even paved the river. Charles and others believe the sheer size of this place may have been the key to its collapse. But no one knew just how big it was until space-age technology offered a new perspective.
0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Infrared imaging technology can cut straight through the jungle canopy, revealing the city in all its glory. The results excelled even Charles's expectations. At 1,000 square kilometres, Angkor was bigger than modern New York, the largest pre-industrial urban area the world has ever known. Once experts had discovered the scale of this place, the reason for its collapse was staring them in the face.
Only now are we beginning to realize the extraordinary extent of Angkor, how the population spread way beyond the city walls.
The city's growth became unstoppable, and its people would have constantly cut back the jungle to create more land for agriculture. No one would have known that this clearance couldn't go on forever, that eventually disaster would strike this magnificent civilization. 1 million people were on the brink. We can guess how tragedy began to strike, because we are still repeating the story today. Rainforest controls the climate for many miles around. When the trees are gone, burning sun scorches bare earth and the temperature rises. Terrible drought and fire follows. The jungle's a vast sponge that soaks up masses of water. With no sponge, rains become floods, which destroy everything in their path. Both Angkor and the Maya civilization of Central America grew until they wrecked their own environments.
There was a population growth, and people began to cut down more trees, and sedimentation began. The great canals, the rivers began to choke and silt up.
The civilizations descended into war and bloodshed.
There was fighting over resources. There was internal divisions and conflict. The whole social fabric began to disintegrate. And before long, this huge city was abandoned and the jungle began to reclaim its own.
So in this story, for once, the jungle won and the humans lost. For all their searching, scientists have not discovered another creature capable of destroying its own environment the way we humans can. But are we also unique in our readiness to start wars and destroy our own kind? To find an answer to these dark questions, scientists have gone back to our closest relative, the chimpanzee. In the forests of Uganda in Africa, primatologist David Watts is looking for the origins of politics and warfare in chimps. He's watched them for 12 years.
Many people tend to make a distinction between humans and animals, but they forget that humans are animals. They could potentially tell us a lot about human history and help us better to understand ourselves now.
We didn't evolve directly from chimps, but our own ancestors were similar. David follows the chimps every day for weeks on end, and often he'll see them prepare to hunt colobus monkeys. It's a chilling and all too human display of organised aggression. David has watched more than 100 hunts, but he doesn't see it as a mindless mass attack. The chimps don't actually need the meat. This whole thing is about politics.
They're all collaborating in this. And male chimpanzees especially are very given to that kind of collaboration.
Chimp societies are built around friendships and alliances. Hunts are about strengthening these bonds. David's seen that the meat is shared with allies and kept from enemies. It's a gruesome form of politics. Many people have seen chimps hunt, but David has seen them go one step further. He's seen that we are not the only species that will go out looking for our own kind with the intention of murder. One day, David was following a group of male chimps. It appeared to be the usual story: preparation for a colobus hunt. But this was no normal hunting party. These chimps were like a group of soldiers on patrol, looking for their own kind.
At first, I didn't know that it was an adult male chimp who was up a fairly small tree, and many Ngogo males surrounding this tree on the ground, screaming and just incredible commotion. Then several Ngogo males started to climb up this tree. The male who was up there tried to climb from there into an adjacent tree, but the tree he was in was now just too small to bear the weight of about 4 adult male chimps. And the top broke and he crashed to the ground, at which he tried to run off, but all the others ran off after him. And by the time we got to where they had stopped, they had caught him. He had up to 15, 20 other chimps piling on top of him.
Did we inherit the ability to murder from our distant ancestors and take it with us when we built our civilisations? Is this the jungle's darkest secret? It turns out there is a ray of light here. It took great skills of politics and cooperation to coordinate such a hunt. These same skills have been developed further by us. Trade, politics, society. They are the building blocks of our great civilisations. David believes that there is one fundamental way that humans are quite unique.
I don't think that they have anything like the ethical systems that humans do, or can understand the consequences of what they're doing in the way that humans ought to be able to understand the consequences.
If humans understand consequences, they can, of course, free themselves from the laws of the jungle and choose what they do. Perhaps Chloe's task of trying to get close to gorillas embodies that moral uniqueness. We are the only species that can work to preserve another species.
Here is just right now.
It's taken Chloe and the Bayaka 6 long years just to get the lowland gorillas to accept them.
He went back to sleep. Right behind him.
They say a true sign of friendship is falling asleep in company.
They had just a very bad night because it's been raining all night. And so they found a new place a bit on the sun and they're taking a rest. The juvenile is still sleeping, but the males just walked off, eating behind there. It takes a lot of trust for them to be sleeping so close to us. He's sleeping in full visibility. We are within 10 meters. And for him to just decide to sleep in that spot, we didn't find him there. He came and chose that place and lie down and closed his eyes after looking at us. So, yeah.
We've come a long way since these gorillas were seen as terrifying monsters. The silverback is getting at termites by shaking chunks of their nest into his hand. It's not quite tool use, but it gets the job done.
He's just playing, it's just spitting a little bit.
His son hasn't quite got the hang of it. He tries another tactic. This close-up view is a jungle first. It's in these kind of intimate moments that we've learned so much about ourselves from our relatives. Chloe and her skilled Bayaka trackers have finally opened a brand new door. It's taken extraordinary commitment.
They've had some of us following them every day for 6 years of their life. Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, Independence Day, every day. To be able to contact them regularly, the Bayaka were fundamental in this process. It's only thanks to their skills in finding them every day that we succeeded in habituating them.
It's been well worth the effort to turn ancient enemies into new friends.
But I think we have taught them, to the Bayaka, also something, because they never thought that there could be this kind of relationship with the animals of the forest.
Exploring the jungle can give us an insight into how we became the extraordinary species that we are. And it's shown that we are unique, just not in the way we thought. Only we can reach out to conserve another species, like Chloe has.